You know, many mothers today cry because they watch their sons be taken away, whether it's to prison or whether it's to the grave. They watch their son leave them, and it's a very hurtful thing. And I don't think a lot of guys who end up in these positions don't care about their mothers, but they get caught up with the environment and the things that are taking place.
I came from the street code, not a tale for the weak. I learned what loyalty costs and what betrayal could eat. I knew that cold look when a brother go blind. I knew the weight on a man when he carried the crime. Then Christ found me and he broke my old frame, took the bruised part of me and called it by name. What I dragged through the mud, he brought up to the light. Gave my whole past a job, gave my whole wound sight. Now I know what I was, now I know what I'm for. Every scar got a purpose, every dark got a door. I was bent, but he kept me. I was hard, but he stayed. Now the fire in my chest got a kingdom to praise. Kingdom youth, kingdom youth. He made it. Kingdom youth. What the world tried to waste, he made it. Kingdom youth. Kingdom youth.
I remember myself being 19 years old and laying in a hospital bed and looking at my mother while I had a bullet in my body. YG is somebody who I think about, somebody who he had a career rapping. Of course, the things he talks about matches the situation that he's in right now. YG from Compton. But depending on your covenantal language, you might say Bompton. Nevertheless, YG is someone who has a career, he has children, and I recall him not too long ago. I believe it was a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, but he talked about how he was baptized. And I think that a lot of brothers mean well. They try to do good. They go to church and they may do rituals, but it's more to it than that. And I think about this situation he's in, not knowing whether or not he's innocent or if he's guilty. But he is being looked at in this situation dealing with Draco the ruler. And I know sometimes all of us, we get involved in things because it's convenient and we say I got to make money, I got to survive. And in this case, it happens to be YG's communication to people through the kind of music that he makes. And I always hear people say, well, you can't preach to him. Brothers like to say, don't preach to me. But the reality is, you do need to be preached to. You do need to be taught things. And at some point, when you don't receive it now, one way or another, you will receive it if you are still alive. A lot of brothers, they get to prison and they begin to get education after they're in there for some years, and sometimes after they are stuck for life. So here YG is right now, and the guy Draco's blood, it cries from the ground. Metaphorically, that means that what happened to him, it doesn't just go away because we are alive. Those things, they stay around. But I want to ask you a question, the viewers. What is it that we can do to make a change after we have come through a life, and that life right there, I guess we could say, resulted in us getting an opportunity. Now, the opportunity may not be good, and you notice that after some time, like talking about the things that go on in your environment and perpetuating the violence through the music. And as I said before, Julio Fulio wrote the soundtrack to his own death. The things that led up to his death was things that he talked about. Music is sound and is backed up by frequencies. There are certain words that a person says that can trigger you. There are certain beats that you can hear right now, and it will take you right back to what you were doing at that time. And so, music is not just something little. All these things play a role. So, this right here, from my understanding, was at, I believe, what Snoop Dogg's party where this right here went down. Now, YG is stuck with some choices that he has to make. And the reality is, the choices that he has to make, it really is a choice that probably could have been prevented before he found himself in this situation. And again, nobody's saying he's guilty or anything like that. But when you grow up and you start getting some knowledge and you have kids, there are some things that you just can't participate in, some things that you can't be involved in. And if you started making your career by doing things that are no longer conducive to saving lives, or things that are not conducive to saving lives, and you no longer choose to be a part of that, then you have to take the investments that you have and invest those things back into redeeming the communities that you helped tear down. See, you cannot be putting money into a community and trying to build people up, and at the same time, you are tearing things down. You know, talking about you are all for peace, but on one end, you're doing the things that lead to the problems. And this is somebody who they work both ends to the middle. YG today, he's in a situation. And these are things that go on in our communities. They go on down in Baltimore. These things go on down in DC, over in Southside Chicago. We have these things in Compton, Los Angeles. We have these things in all these different places that are plaguing our communities where young men become victims of a spirit that's within their environment. And I don't just want to say environment because a lot of times, because these things happen so natural in our communities, it's hard for us to see that these things are a spirit. It's a spirit that creates a stronghold. And it becomes a stronghold because of years doing particular things a particular way. And it gives us a particular behavior. It becomes an addictive behavior, a way of doing things, a way of living life. And so we don't really think anything about them. Now, biblically in theology, to give you understanding as to what that means, this is simply iniquity. And iniquity is not just a sin like where you slip up and you do something, but it is something that you know better than doing, but it's planned out, and it's a systematic life of constantly living a certain kind of way. And it distorts your vision to where you don't even really see anything wrong with it. Yes, you may even know that it's wrong, but after a while, it doesn't even look bad anymore. And so, YG, if you come out of this situation right here, you need to leave it alone altogether and really follow along with what baptism means. And baptism means death. There has to be a death to self, bro. And that's with all of us. Every day there's a giving up our ways and our things. It doesn't mean that you have to be a pushover, and it doesn't mean that you are going to be perfect overnight. Again, it's a process. And this is the word theologically that we use called sanctification, means set apart. Just like out there, where you have in company, you have those who have been set to one side and one who has others who have been set to another. That's what they are dedicated to their collective, their brand, or their gang. When you come to God, it's the same thing. You have to understand that I had to be set apart from those things. Because what means more is your children, your wife, if you have one, your family. And so it has to be a complete and total departure of those things. But what are your thoughts when it comes to someone in YG's position to where they they get to a certain point in their life? What should they do? Should they keep on going down that route? Or should they make a decision to say, you know what? Now I had to shift. Because of many of these people, you find them saying they love God. But to love God is to serve God, and it means to be intentional. It's not accidental, it's intentional. I'm intentional about what I do. And so, with that right there being said, may God bless you. You must allow Him to keep you. Go ahead and give this a like, and then consider subscribing to the channel as I deal with things that often plague our communities on them blocks, in them streets, and dealing with the covenant and the language that keeps many of us trapped in this cycle. God bless.